Yeah, the whole thing is really strange. I grew up in Moscow, and this sort of thing doesn't really happen that often in this area.
I think of North Idaho as a pretty off-the-map type of place, pretty safe place, very family-friendly, and to have 4 murders and then the guys just running around on the loose is a little unnerving.
Everyone's on edge, quiet and stuff. You don't see everyone as talkative, like chatty, as like social as they used to be and stuff, want to go out.
I got a text from my mom. She said, "Hey, you're in Steptoe Apartments. Look outside your door." And I looked right outside, and I saw the crime tape, and I saw the unmarked police vehicles, people going in to do the crime scene search, and I was just flabbergasted that he lived right there.
This crime absolutely shook the community of Idaho. The case in Latah County, where this, I want to call him a teacher, he was an assistant teacher, professor from a neighboring school, studying criminology, goes in and commits quadruple murder. Shook, but it's a very small community, and it's a college community. And from the beginning, the defense and the defendant in the Idaho students case has been trying to get the case moved. Take a listen to the arguments, because we hear them in most of the high-profile cases here on Court TV for that old change of venue. Take a listen.
And in the case of Moscow and Latah County, it's a really small community, right? And so the authority figures are often going to be people who are known and well-trusted. And, so that makes this effect even potentially more problematic. And, as you know, Chief Fry, the chief of the police at the time, had said that he was certain that he arrested the right suspect and he didn't have any doubts. And so the community would say, okay, well, the chief of police is sure, so then I can be sure too.
There's a lot of pictures of Mr. Kohberger in the media. Do you mean that when we walk into trial and the room's full of potential jurors, there's going to be a great majority of them that before we sit down are going to have a feeling of bias against Mr. Kohberger?
Yeah, I do. And you've seen the pictures, these ominous headlines, and that connection can't help but be made.
We know there's publicity. Everybody can agree. There's been massive publicity, not just in Latah County, but I see more about it in Boise or hear about it from other parts of the state than what we're seeing locally. And so the massive publicity, that's a red herring, realistically. Of course, we know that just being aware of publicity about a case does not disqualify a juror. There has to be a showing that that publicity or whatever has impacted the juror to the point where that juror cannot sit in this box as a fair and impartial juror and make a decision based only on the evidence presented in this courtroom. That's the issue that Your Honor is going to have to decide on the change of venue question. And you can't do that based on a bunch of affidavits from experts who say, Judge, there's been a lot of publicity. That doesn't cut it.
So the judge ruled and granted the change of venue, despite not attempting to choose one juror in the case. And that was the big headline. But then I read the judge's order, and I had a much different take from what this was really all about. Take a look. Here's from the ruling. The court has spent many months carefully considering the legal and logistical concerns with a trial of this length and magnitude, carefully reading each submission, listening to each expert, and evaluating each party's position. Based on the totality of the factors, defendant's motion for a change of venue is granted. Then the court orders a transfer of venue, quote, without specifying the new place of venue, and refers, quote, the case to the administrative director of the courts for assignment by the Supreme Court to a court of proper venue in another judicial district, and here's the key thing, and assignment of a specific judge to preside in the criminal proceeding. He got rid of the case. The judge just got rid of the case. It's not about change of venue, it's a change of judge. Judge didn't want to judge this case. Let's bring back in the think tank Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Darnell, I understand it's football season, and I guess the judge jumped on there and just punted this case out of Latah County and out off of his docket. I've never seen anything like this in a change of venue.
Well, I was trying to figure out where you were coming from, because I know we're both lawyers and we both have, shared experiences that are different. When you normally get a change of venue, it's a change of venue. The judge doesn't go with it. So I thought that.
Well, I watched the Daybell trial in Idaho here, and the judge went with him. I've covered trials down in Florida where the judge went with him. I covered the hot car case in Georgia, and the judge went with him. This judge didn't want the case. Let's be honest.
I mean, I can. Like I said, you know, I think Al was on my side for once. I heard a little grunt over there. But that's your shared experiences. But my experience was that was not an ordinary.
Because of your shirt.
Help me out.
I will help you out on this one because I think that was the right move across the board. I took a look.
It's not about the change, but what was the motivating factor behind it? Like
the motivating factor is the fairness of a trial for the defendant.
No, it's the judge doesn't want to handle the case.
No. Take a look at the Timothy McVeigh case. The Timothy McVeigh case, the Oklahoma bomber, okay, they moved that trial to Denver. Okay,
as a federal case,
they moved the trial to Denver. But the point was that he was not going to be able to get a fair trial in Oklahoma.
Are you allowed to bring jurors in? You're allowed to bring jurors in?
One of the points with regards to his appeal was whether there was a presumed or actual prejudice with regards to the jury selection, everything along those lines. That negated all of that. Okay, so it's a brilliant move, and the judge moving it to a judge that could be assigned solely to that case is another brilliant move, because these judges are juggling a calendar. They don't get one case. Okay, they have 50 cases that they have to deal with.
Jennifer, I sat here and I covered Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell's trials, and that judge from Idaho got up and went over to Ada County and Boise for a couple of months to try both of those cases. So it's just a judge doing their job. This judge obviously wanted nothing to do with this case anymore.
I don't know if it was so much about the judge not wanting the case. I think he did look at the totality of the circumstances, and I think one of the main factors, because it kept coming up over and over again, are the logistics of the trial, having it in Latah County. They're just not equipped to handle all the press and all the people that are going to be coming in, and just the resources weren't there. So that's something he definitely cited to.
Really?
And,
you know what? I spent 3 months down in the low country of South Carolina. That case, a little bit bigger than this one, right? They had no problem down there. They brought in some food trucks.
I get it, Vinny, but the judge didn't think it was the right fit for this county.
No, you said it correctly. You said he didn't want it. He didn't want it. It was a headache.
You said that.
Oh, this is such a headache.
168 victims. 168 victims in Oklahoma, okay, and they moved the trial, and no one bitched and moaned about that. The bottom line was that the defendant deserves a fair trial.
Okay, yeah, the defendant deserves a fair trial. I get it, but how do you know if you haven't even tried to get a jury? They didn't even try.
The standard by statute is not the actual bias, is the appearance of bias. And so you don't have to show actual.
We've covered a few high-profile cases here in Court TV.
But wait,
you can always get a jury.
The publicity
OJ got
such
one.
That it would not be able to render an impartial.
OJ got one. George Zimmerman got one. That woman down in Orange County got one. Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brand. Great to disagree with you tonight. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know, plus coming up next hour.